Rolling Stone magazine just did an expose on Chris D'Elia. Apparently, some more women have come forward. Here's the title. Do Everything I Say. 10 women claim comedian Chris D'Elia preyed on them. By Cheyenne Roundtree. Jasmine Wolfe was visibly uncomfortable sitting in the driver's seat of her car in an open parking lot. The 28-year-old looked around and drew a quick breath. Glancing at her phone perched on the dashboard, recording her, awaiting a reply on the other end of the device was comedian Chris D'Elia, who Wolfe says had instructed her to send over an explicit video of herself in public view. Wolfe only had seconds to comply. If she didn't send over the footage fast enough, she knew he'd become furious. She had already told D'Elia that she wasn't comfortable being in plain sight of passerby. D'Elia, she says, didn't care. Minutes later, a nervous-looking Wolfe stares into the camera while wringing her hands. It doesn't matter if I'm feeling sad or if I'm feeling pouty. It should have been about you, and I'm sorry, she says in the November 2021 video reviewed by Rolling Stone. Wolfe claims the apology was scripted by D'Elia, who is angry that she dared to push back against his request. The two had met in March 2020, with Wolfe responding to one of D'Elia's Instagram stories during the early days of the pandemic. She was familiar with D'Elia through the sitcom Whitney and had recently finished the second season of You, which he guest starred in. Cooped up at home in Canada and recently separated from her husband, who was still living with her for sake of their young daughter, Wolfe describes needing a distraction, and the one-off message to an attractive comedian seemed harmless. Within minutes, D'Elia responded, Wolfe says, and the conversation moved to Snapchat. By the end of the day, D'Elia had requested nude photographs. Wolfe sent them. It almost felt like kismet, Wolfe says of their budding relationship, particularly because D'Elia had allegedly explained he was in a similarly constrained situation with his partner, Kristen Taylor, who Wolfe claims D'Elia said he was only living with for the sake of their newborn. They spoke constantly every day, sending Snapchat videos back and forth. I really needed something positive in my life, and it seemed like this was it, Wolfe explains. I had somebody who seemingly could relate so much to what I was going through in my life. Oh. It wouldn't be until June 2020 that Wolfe learned the seemingly spontaneous way she came to know D'Elia mirrored the claims of many other women that month. A woman named Simone Rossi kicked off an outpouring of allegations against D'Elia on Twitter, pointing out the irony in D'Elia playing a comedian who preys on underage girls in Netflix's You, when she claimed he had messaged her for photos when she was 16. Soon after, dozens of women began sharing stories anonymously of their alleged encounters with D'Elia, who said sought them out as teens and young women on social media, soliciting nudes from them and making unwanted advances. The Los Angeles Times and Daily Beast ran initial reports containing interviews with some of the accusers, and CNN followed up with a piece that had allegations of D'Elia exposing himself to women. D'Elia vehemently denied the allegations and released email exchanges between himself and some of his accusers, which his attorney claimed exonerated him. But Wolfe's story diverges from theirs in that she stayed in contact with D'Elia. going on to have what she describes as an emotionally abusive, manipulative, and controlling relationship with the comic. Until last year, their relationship took place mostly online, communicating constantly through disappearing messages on Snapchat. Apart from a handful of in person encounters during the 2 trips to Los Angeles, still, the toll their relationship took was devastating, Wolf claims. I began to actually believe I was nothing and lose such a sense of myself as an individual person because you can only hear something so many times before you start to internalize that, Wolf tells Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone has reviewed various communications between Wolf and D'Elia, photos and videos Wolf sent to D'Elia through Snapchat, and spoken with friends and members of her family who corroborate her relationship with the comedian. Though his attorney Through his attorney, Andrew Brettler, D'Elia downplayed his relationship with Wolf and called into question her credibility for entering into early discussions of a possible $100,000 settlement in exchange for cutting off communications with media publications. However, Wolf says she never took any money and ended up blocking Brettler's number when she felt he was being manipulative. Brettler denied that he was being manipulative. For this piece, Rolling Stone has spoken with an additional 9 women who detailed experiences with D'Elia that have left them shaken, including 4 women who recall having unsettling encounters and communications with D'Elia when they were teenagers. Some women include those who have previously spoken out against D'Elia, declined to participate in this story, citing fear of D'Elia and legal reasons. Several of the women allege D'Elia took advantage of the godlike status he had with his fans for personal sexual gratification, dangling tickets to his show to at least one woman who claims D'Elia outright asked if she would perform an act favor in exchange for a free seat. One fan alleges she was 28 when D'Elia pressured her into giving him that before one of his shows. When she began to cry, she says D'Elia allegedly told her, "If you just do everything I say, it'll all be okay." When approached for comment, D'Elia generally denied the claims made against him, but did not provide direct responses to Rolling Stone's multiple detailed requests for comment on specific allegations. Beyond questioning the credibility of some women coming forward, he has previously claimed that all of his encounters were legal and consensual. In addition, Rolling Stone has learned the FBI has interviewed several of D'Elia's accusers and potential witnesses. In a statement to Rolling Stone, an FBI spokesperson said the agency neither confirms nor denies investigations to protect both the integrity of an investigation and the reputation of those potentially involved in it. D'Elia did not respond to this allegation. Wolf and another woman, Emma, say they were entangled in intense emotional relationships with D'Elia, which allegedly intensified and worsened after D'Elia was accused of predatory behavior in 2020. Many of the women have requested to use a pseudonym or only their first names out of fear of retribution and online harassment. Wolf, Emma, and 2 others claimed that D'Elia was controlling, allegedly tracking their locations, picking out outfits, giving curfews, and pushing some of the women to get a tattoo of his initials. Wow. Wolf and Emma describe becoming dependent on his daily instructions and increasingly isolated from their families and friends. D'Elia allegedly expected his girls, as he called the women he was sexting with, to send over explicit photos and videos instantaneously. Otherwise, he'd berate or ignore them as a form of punishment. To comply, the women claim they had to be glued to their phones, rushing to public restrooms, and even pulling over on the side of the road to fulfill his request. A frequent instruction, Wolf claimed, was to get on her knees and say she was nothing. Whoa. It went far beyond a consensual kink relationship, both Wolf and Emma claim, explaining that ground rules were never established, and D'Elia had deliberately and slowly inducted them into his world, sometimes using his friends to juggle his many secret relationships. Wolf described the controlling dynamic as cult like, and both say they wouldn't have agreed to a relationship if they had known what D'Elia would be requiring of them. Wolf and Emma say when they tried to break things off with D'Elia, he would make suicidal statements and plead with them to stay, insisting they were the only ones who understood him. This past December, comedian Kyle Anderson released a YouTube documentary, The Chris D'Elia Problem, that revisited the previous allegations against D'Elia and shed light on the emotional, psychological abuse he allegedly inflicted in his relationships. Wolf came forward in the YouTube documentary about her 2-year relationship with D'Elia, detailing how she developed anxiety from his request. Emma, who ended her year-long relationship with D'Elia in the wake of 2020 allegations, says she realized after watching the documentary that she wasn't the only one suffering through lasting emotional abuse from D'Elia, who was either oblivious or indifferent to the damage he was inflicting on women. In no sense of the word is my life the same, Emma says. I will always struggle with figuring out what feels normal in a relationship because of it. I'm not sure D'Elia will ever fully understand the scope of what he has done to a lot of women. D'Elia began, I don't care when he started his career. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just skimming through this crap. They're talking about the Life Rips mantra. While on tour, women from across the US and Canada tell Rolling Stone that D'Elia seemed preemptively scout out female fans in the city where he was about to perform. Some say they were plucked from the crowd after D'Elia had presumably trawled social media, tagged post, and his hashtag. Others claim that what began as a fan reaching out to their favorite comedian turned into purely sex-focused conversations. All have unsettling stories to share about the comedian, painting D'Elia as a shrewd manipulator and aggressor of personalities, someone who knew he was crossing a moral or ethical boundary and almost took glee in doing so. Two women claimed D'Elia had offered them free or special tickets to his show, but with strings attached. Prior to his sold out 2014 show in Albany, New York, Lindsay McKern says she reached out to D'Elia for help in securing tickets. The two had messaged previously on Facebook a few years earlier, and she hoped he'd remembered her. One of Chris's first comments when we decided that he was going to get me into the show was, "Will you?" She recalls. Damn, D'Elia. Teenagers were also allegedly not off limits to D'Elia's brazen messages. D'Elia had previously denied flirting with minors, blah, blah, blah. Samantha Simmons says she was around 17 when D'Elia offered her VIP tickets to a show in South Carolina. Okay. And they're now talking about the lawsuit. Haley says she met D'Elia in 2014. Okay, if you want to read the full article, I think I read enough of this. But go check it out. It's Rolling Stone. The FBI is involved in this now? The FBI. Are they trying to go after D'Elia? Like, what was it? That country tried going after Andrew Tate? Basically going to get him on some weird trafficking thing. And the underage thing, too. But the FBI is involved? Ooh, might want to get that prison cell ready, D'Elia. Oh no, my guy. And generally, I would give Chris D'Elia the benefit of the doubt, but he works with Brendan Schaub, so he's almost guaranteed guilty of all these things because what kind of person would work with Brendan Schaub, who's as equally bad as Dalia. But my God, this is some article. And whoa. But so 10 new women. Now, a lot of this we already knew, by the way. Like that whole initial first story. I already made a video about that months ago because that Alice Cooper chick was talking about that on Twitter, and then that guy dropped that documentary and it got talked about then. So we already knew about that. But 9 other women, I find most fascinating the FBI thing. Ooh. Get ready, Dalia. You might have some federal charges coming at you. And yeah, crazy. But let me know your thoughts in the comments.